Alright. I've been meaning to do this video for a while. Right? Just simply because it's always been something that's come up about MK9, right? About why this game just got removed from everything, right? Not only this game, but we also had the Mortal Kombat arcade collection as well that was removed. And I can't seem to find any sort of like concrete evidence. I looked into the licensing of Freddy, and it was only in like a few years back that the Wes Craven estate finally got hold of Freddy, like Nightmare on Elm Street and Freddy back. So, to me personally, I don't really buy the fact that this game was delisted because of one DLC character, right? Even though it was made by by Midway, but it ran with the mantle of NetherRealm, and that's coming from Total MK himself. That's the reason why MK9 feels so radically different, right, to everything else that we have gotten since then. I always go with the idea, just a feeling, right? Just a feeling that the reason why this game got delisted wasn't because of Freddy, right? It was because of, should have loaded up my mod one. Right. I think it got delisted along with the arcade collection because I think that they knew that people would play them, and they were trying to recreate a new legacy of gaming, right? So you think about this for a second. If MK9 was still around to be purchased in terms of like on proper stores and stuff like that, how many people do you really think would be playing MK1, MK11, MK10? Having this game and everything it represents, which is against everything that NetherRealm like is trying to push, like not having sexy women, right? Even the battle damage that you could like accrued from fighting, you know, your clothes would rip, you'd have pieces of you like, you know, that have like been knocked off or broken or whatever, right? Get some underboob happening with Katana. It's interesting how, right? It's interesting how like, see if I can, do we get battle damage in what do you call it? In training mode? Do we get that? I don't know, actually. Let's see if it'll actually, let's check the options. Collision region, AI options, okay. No, I don't think we do, actually. Anyway, that's fine. I think the reason why they delisted it is because people would constantly come back to Mortal Kombat 9. And not just that, compare it. They needed a fresh slate. NetherRealm needed a fresh slate. Because we never got a definitive answer. They just got delisted. And not just MK9, but also the arcade collection as well. Why, if you now own the franchise, would not want to keep selling older games that people are going to buy and play? Well, you could play Mortal Kombat Arcade Collection online. And you would have also been able to play Mortal Kombat 9 online. Now, what's really interesting about the PC version of both is that you have access to online. So if you can pick up a Steam CD key, by all means do it. Because you can play these games online, right? The only downside naturally is the population, right? Because it doesn't sell the game anymore, the activity, the interest goes down. But you can create rooms, you can join rooms, and you can play people, right? Certain parts of the day, you'll actually see some people in some of these rooms or rooms that they've actually created. That's pretty awesome. That we can still access and play these games At least on Steam, right? At least on Steam. Now, if you have Fightcade, you can certainly play a lot of the older games, all the old arcade ROMs, home versions and stuff like that. But if you play... And I'd have to check, actually, because you can... Obviously, they've got PS3 emulator out there. They've got their own network for the PS3 emulator, so I'd have to double check and see. But if you've got a copy of Mortal Kombat 9 on PC, yes, you can still play online. Okay, they never took away that access. Now, here's the interesting part. The unfortunate thing about this is that the network was pretty bad. Like, the coding for it was pretty bad. So unless you're from relatively the same region, you can't really play. So for example, I can play people in Australia, I can play people in New Zealand, but anywhere outside of that, the game will just disconnect. Right? The match will just disconnect and I can't fight anyone. Which is a real shame. Like it's a real shame, right? But I think it's because of that. I think they delisted it because people would have constantly come back. It's got nothing to do with Freddy. They would have constantly come back. Look at this roster, bro. Is this not the most perfect roster for Mortal Kombat in recent years? How is it that a game from 2011 still has the best roster available? This is like getting Mortal Kombat Trilogy with a little bit extra. That's what makes it so great. When I played this game, even though it's missing a whole host of 3D characters, I never once sat there and went, oh geez, you know, I'm really missing, you know, Natara or any of these characters. This felt like it ignored the 3D era, right? Except for Kenshi, obviously, right? It ignored the 3D era and continued on from the 2D era, right? So apart from Kenshi, let's see, Kenshi feels like a character that could have been made in 2D and it would have, like, absolutely would have worked perfectly for the 2D games back then, including the 3D version of, obviously, you know, being MK4, right? Which is where we first got Quan Chi, right? But this roster is incredible. The layout is incredible. All they had to do, if it was actually because of Freddy Krueger, patch him out. Just remove him. Do you really think anyone's gonna give a shit about them, you know, having him removed? You could have sold the game at a discounted price because of this removal, and of course for PlayStation 3 owners, patching out Kratos, patching out Freddy, further discount, who cares, right? You could have then introduced proper rollback netcode, right? Fixed all up the networking and shit, brought it to the modern day, and people could still be playing this game online in this day and age. But they didn't want that. And you know they didn't want that because when we first get our true NetherRealm Mortal Kombat game, it is vastly different, right? Like, vastly different. They did away with battle damage. They started to, like, pull back on, it was slowly, but they started to pull back on the sexiness of the women, changing their faces. They looked like bulldogs eating porridge. The story sucked because they started to, they just went, it was just ridiculous. I can't even remember the story for MK10. That's how forgettable that game is to me, right? I know a lot of people speak fondly of MK10, but it seems it comes down to the gameplay for them. But for me, I didn't care, right? I didn't care for it much at all, right? And that's because we lost so much. They brought in the first online sort of like this, oh, how would you describe it? Kind of like this passive, you know, slightly passive online mode where you could join one of the five factions, right? It would change the background and then you do stuff that contribute towards it, right? But we have, like, look at all of these options we just have to play with. And that's single player, right? Which you can then do in 2-player, you can do it local, up to 3, up to 4 players, right? You'll also have your extras mode as well with your crypt and whatnot. You had, like, tag mode obviously is there, obviously the challenge tower and the story mode. And then we get MK10. Massive step back. Now, maybe for people that only care about gameplay, sure, it was like everything to you, right? But not for me, right? That's when I started to notice changes. The Netherrealm changes with the game. And of course, predating this MK10's release, we obviously got Injustice. And that's when I noticed too, Injustice content in terms of like interactables, like jumping off stuff or any of that sort of shit, interacting with the background, started actually coming in and, you know, being actually like, you know, affecting like the state of this game, right? Which sucked. It absolutely sucked. Hated it, right? But boy, oh boy, do you, like, seriously, like, I would play this game every day, right? Every single day. If given the chance. It's not about whether or not it's broken. Like who cares, right? It was a great Mortal Kombat game. And they took it from us, right? They took it from us because reasons, right? That's it. They never even explained it. Oh, it's just delisted, right? Just delist it. Don't worry about it. Unbelievable, right? It's just terrible. You know, there's Ninja Mime in the background. Who would have thought we would have got that like later on, and it ended up would have been just absolute joke. Back in 2011 when we got this masterpiece of a game, who would have thought, man? Right? Who would have thought that we would have ended up with the absolute pigsty of a game, right? Absolute joke, man. Right? Oh, I forgot he's got that move. I like that. That stepping axe kick. There we go. I like that move. That's nice. So we lost a lot. We actually lost a lot with this because we got the first interaction of this stupid change stance thing, which is just doesn't do anything, man. Right? It's just crap. So if you do have a copy of MK9, you can obviously get online and play, right? Which is great. Okay. On PC, obviously, on Steam. But yeah, man, I think they delisted it because they were starting fresh, and they probably knew what they were going to do moving forward. They probably had a lot of conversations about it because you could see in the change of the game, and yeah, it's an absolute travesty, man. It just sucks, you know. And it didn't matter whether it was great or broken or anything like that. People had so much fun. They had so much fun with this game because it had a great roster, tons of great modes. The actual challenge tower was challenging, right? Story mode was fantastic. It respected the original and just did a sidestep. So that's my theory. I think they were trying to like wipe their history and pretend like greatness didn't matter or didn't exist actually. Like greatness didn't exist, you know, in their franchise. I've done a video on my channel about this. If they remastered MK9, you know, just sort of, you know, clean things up with the like in-game cinematics, you know, gave us like at least 1080p or 4K, I suppose, cinematics. You know, obviously high resolutions for the console versions, naturally. It would outsell every modern Mortal Kombat game combined. And then some. And for all the people that sit out there and bitch about my negativity, I would just be having a ball. Just like I did back in the day when I covered this game when I finally got it. I'd be having a ball. Man, shit is just... How far has this shit fallen, dude? It's just terrible. Anyway, guys, let me know what you think. Catch you next time.